What's going on, everybody? This is Randall Barnes, the founder of HBCU Pulse and the host of HBCU Pulse Radio, in the building for another special edition of the show on today, where we're talking about a different world. Netflix just dropped a trailer, and a lot of people have questions about one of the storylines, which we're going to see when the series comes out. But I've seen all over Twitter these questions about a specific storyline that lets me believe that a lot of people didn't see certain articles that came out about a different world, and we're going to get into it. Before I start, shout out to Fort Valley State University, my HBCU that won the Stella Awards for the best HBCU choir, the inaugural award. If you see me on HBCU Pulse Radio this week or you watching a replay, I'm repping my HBCU all week, so just make sure that you stay tuned for that. But A Different World dropped its trailer, the official trailer, as the show is going to premiere on September 24th, 39 years after the original premiere of the first season of A Different World. And as you know, a lot has changed. So the new trailer showcases the new vibe of Hillman College. It was shot on the campus of Clark Atlanta University, but the setting of Hillman College is in Virginia. Now, you see an interesting cast of characters in the trailer. Of course, you see the OG stars in Whitley, aka Jasmine Guy, and you see Dwayne, aka Kadeem Harrison. Also, Ron Johnson, aka Daryl M. Bell, that you see in the trailer. And it seems as if, based on their kids going to Hillman, they're going to have very huge parts in the series. You also see Method Man creep in. He's in there as well. He's going to be a coach on the football team, the coach on the football team. So you're going to see a lot of him with the character of Shaquille. There's also a bunch of other characters you have to tap into that are a part of the new generation of Hillman College students. You have Malia Joy Moon, who's going to lead the series as Deborah Wayne, and she's going to have a lot of very interesting storylines in the show. You're also going to have Alicia Kai as Rashida Duval, who is Deborah's roommate. And you saw Whitley make a little bit of a classist type of comment to her after she said she was from Compton.
Where are you from? Compton. Watch her.
Rashida's going to be huge when it comes to the activist element of the series. And she was described by Teen Vogue in their profile of the series as Stacey Abrams with lashes. You also have Jordan Aaron Hall playing Amir Rodell, and he basically is the friend group's therapist. He's always answering everybody's problems, using what he's learning in psychology class to really give advice to his friends, but he needs somebody to help him what he got going on. He's also making history as the first openly queer main character in the Different World series. So that's a big move for representation. And he also plays a huge part in the series. As we see in the trailer, we have to shout out Hazel Henry, played by Kennedy Reese. And Kennedy Reese just graduated from Howard University. She's an actual HBCU student, actually just stepped off the yard at Howard University and graduated. So you got actual HBCU representation in this series. And she's a small town girl, preacher's kid, goes to college, and she's learning and discovering herself, as we saw her at the party, making things happen, doing her thing, then expressing some remorse after all the adrenaline dies down and she thinks about it.
I'm gonna go repent. Hard.
Then you have Chibukiem Uchi as Koko Achibe. He's a Ghanaian Nigerian student that's trying to get at Rashida. He's trying to make it happen with Rashida. And I see it. I see the vision. We saw it in the trailer a little bit, nothing too much, but we saw them kiss already. So we're going to see how that relationship is navigated. But a lot of people, as they watched the trailer, had a lot to say, but they had a lot of questions that, listen, HBCU Pulse here, we're going to be the A Different World spot. Not officially, because we're not, working with Netflix yet or A Different World yet. Hopefully I can speak to this one day we will work with them. But I want to be the source of information for a different world as it's about to come out, as we want to make sure that this show is incredibly supported to make sure they get a season 2, season 3, season 4, season 5, and on and on. And we continue the legacy of Hillman College in a different world because that's so important to so many generations of HBCU students. So in the trailer, we see the reveal of Ron Johnson's son, Shaquille Johnson. They ride up in a super nice car. He is an amazing athlete, star quarterback, decided to go to Hillman as a promise to his mom that passed away. Now, a controversial scene that became controversial in the trailer is you got Shaquille with Ron on campus moving, and he's looking, and he sees Deborah. And I guess a lot of people think that this look that Shaquille gives Deborah is like, that's something new. I ain't never seen that before. Let me go approach that. That's actually not what happened. And we see, of course, that Shaquille and Deborah, they get close and all those different things. And a lot of folks think that Shaquille and Deborah never met each other, and it's weird because Dwayne and Ron were best friends in the original series. How did they not know each other? Maybe Dwayne and Whitley were in Japan, and Ron and his wife had a baby and all this and that. Listen, let's break it down because there's been a lot of information that's been released about a different world, and I want to answer everyone's question. So here's the story behind Deborah and Shaquille and their budding romance per Netflix and also Teen Vogue. So according to Felicia Pride, Shaquille and Deborah knew each other back when they were children. And Shaquille has always had a crush on Deborah, but he wasn't always like that. He had to grow into his swag, or I guess they call it Riz now. Like, we called it swag back in the day when I was in school. So the Riz, he grew his Riz. He made things happen. He had a glow up. And now Deborah is looking at him a little bit different. So you got to look at the fact that Shaquille is a star quarterback. So you would expect for this talented quarterback in your area to go to like one of the FBS schools, Power 5. Maybe he's at Georgia. He's taking a red shirt year. He's going to start next year, or he's at a bigger institution when it comes to Division I football. No, he decided to play football at Hillman College. So what I would deduce based on that is maybe Deborah didn't know that Shaquille was going to Hillman. So she looks and she's like, oh, that's him. And then you see Shaquille's like, that's Deborah. I want to see what's up with that. So they've already known each other. They've always known each other. They were childhood friends. And here's the part that Deborah played in his life that was very key. Shaquille has always had a crush on Deborah, and Deborah never gave him the time of day. But they always remained close friends, and Deborah was a huge confidant for Shaquille after his mom passed away. So they're not just friends that hang out in school and never see each other. They're very close friends, and she was down with him at one of probably the worst times of his life and of anyone's life to see a parent pass away. So now they get to college and they start to experience a bit of a romance, but there's a roadblock because now you have to deal with a love triangle where another character that I don't know if we saw him in the trailer, maybe we didn't. Another character has now entered the scene, and he trying to talk to Deborah too. He trying to apply pressure to Deborah too. Was now Deborah has some options. She starts to think, do I want to mess up my friendship with Shaquille because we've been rocking since we were children? Our dads are friends, and the family Hillman alumni. Do they want to mess up their friendship, or does she want to give this other guy on campus a try, or maybe some other guys outside of that group of folks? And so it's a love triangle situation. But in the trailer, we do see Shaquille and Deborah kicking it, and also Shaquille talking very highly of Deborah to his friends.
Man, D, she's beautiful. Talking smart, talented.
I am handling my problems like a bad bitch.
She could be a little extra though, but
So that's the whole entire rundown and breakdown of what's going on with Shaquille and Deborah. They've already known each other. They're already childhood friends, and they're going to try to explore this budding relationship, but it might or might not work because of that delicate walk of being lovers and friends, and knowing that when you're in a relationship, that things can go sideways. They could break up. They could have different issues. And Shaquille, from what I understand his description, Shaquille got a wave on campus. Shaquille got girls trying to talk to him. He's a star quarterback and is high profile, probably got a lot of Instagram followers. He probably got a lot of TikTok followers. So it's going to be a lot of women on campus trying to see what's up with Shaquille. Does Deborah want to deal with that? And does Shaquille potentially want to hurt Deborah if he's trying to explore what's out there on the campus of Hillman College? Because as you know, it's a lot of beautiful women on the campus of HBCUs, and Hillman's not going to be any different because it's an HBCU, you know? So that's the whole entire situation with them. It's going to be interesting to see how they navigate that relationship. But I think another thing that's going to be very interesting to see is how Ron and Dwayne feel about that relationship. Does Ron know that his son's been feeling Dwayne and Whitley's daughter? Like, have they had instances and situations where it got close, but nothing happened? And how are they going to feel about a budding romance between Ron's son and Dwayne and Whitley's daughter, ultimately, if they start today and it comes to pass? I think that that could probably be one of the most interesting storylines as it is. Because you know, in the original series, Dwayne and Ron were hilarious and they butted heads in so many ways. So to see them as older alumni fathers trying to be protective of their children, there could be a lot of interesting storylines that come to pass there. But we're going to see September 24th making it happen. We got to support a different world as an HBCU community because we want this fictional depiction of HBCU life on our screens. It's going to help us as far as enrollment, but it also is good to showcase the experience of this generation of HBCU students. Back in the day, during that different world era, you had a different world, you had school days, you had so many rich depictions of Black life and Black college life. In the early 2000s, you got a Drumline, mid to late 2000s, Stomp the Yard. Even my generation, because I went to school from 2015 to 2019, we had the Quad. And we also had Grownish in a way. I'm not the biggest fan of Grownish after season 2, you know. But we had a depiction of Black college life at a PWI, but you also had the Quad, who I was a huge champion of. Then immediately after I graduated, you have All American Homecoming that aired on the CW. So now for this generation, you have a different world returning in this concept. It should have came out 2014. It was supposed to come out in the 2010s, but because of what was going on with Bill Cosby, it didn't. And now we're here on Netflix with the sequel series, and we need to support it and make sure that this show gets a season 2. So we're going to be covering it on HBCU Pulse. I'm also going to be writing recaps articles on HBCU Pulse on Clutch Points, so make sure to stay tuned and tapped in.
Like what you hear?
Yeah.
Subscribe to HBCU Pulse Radio on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, head to HBCUPulse.com to stay up to date on what's going on in the HBCU community. Thank you for listening to HBCU Pulse Radio.